We are a quarter of the way through the season, and as we're trying to get Gunny Gumby on here, so we'll try to get him on. There we go. So we are a quarter of the way through the Jets season, and as the title says, we are here to air our grievances. Gunny, I mean, I know you were on vacation. Even the Miami game had to bring you down a little bit. So I wanted to start this episode and look at the first quarter of this season. And realistically, I think a lot of us were saying if this team could somehow be 1-3 at this mark, we could stomach it. But the way Miami went down, and there's so much to take from that game. I came out of it not loving some of the coaching staff decisions. I came out of it feeling very upset. But the biggest thing, too, was when Aaron Glenn says, this isn't the same old Jets, it just felt like a different script, but the same movie where there was primetime embarrassment. They didn't look prepared. And, of course, they find new and creative ways to break your heart. But other than that, Gunny, what are your thoughts on this team?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Had a great vacation. Got to go ahead and go to the Bahamas with my siblings and was feeling good. I even started to believe that this game on Monday can actually go in our direction. I felt like, you know what? The more I think about it, man, the Dolphins are in disarray. They're not unified. Like, those guys seem to just want to be individuals, not a team. Like, we could probably sneak a win here in Miami and end this whole Tua's undefeated against the Jets crap. And of course, and like you said, in Jets fashion, man, they came out and they showed us exactly who they are. And that is the same old Jets. They're here to disappoint us. They've given us just enough hope, just enough rope for us to hang ourselves with, and then now it's just we're here as Jets fans, literally hanging because we're not even asking for much. I think that's the worst part. We're not asking for much. This fan base is not like, oh my God, we got to make it to the Super Bowl or even make the playoffs this year. It'd be nice to make it to the playoffs. We just want to see competent football. We just want to go ahead and see we're headed in the right direction and that maybe we did make some good choices in terms of the coaching staff and the front office. 4 weeks in, and I feel like we have more questions than answers. And you're already starting to hear a lot of the chants for fire Aaron Glenn. Like, Jets fans right now are they're saying like impatient. But remember, we've been going through this for 15 years. This isn't new to us. Like, this is something we've been dealing with as a fan base for 15 years. I get that Aaron Glenn is new to the game. But the frustration isn't just, oh, it's Aaron Glenn. No, it's the New York Jets that frustrates us as a fan base. So, yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Not the way I wanted to go ahead and finish off my vacation weekend. I was really hoping for a nice little win to go to sleep to on Monday night. But, again, Jets found a way to disappoint the fans yet again. That game was embarrassing because, again, self-inflicted wounds, in the words of Breece Hall, other teams shoot themselves in the foot. We seem to shoot ourselves in the head. So, frustrating way to go ahead and lose that game on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that needs to be a Jet shirt that we all can wear. It should be.
100%.
So we should collaborate, make one. But again, your comments and chats, super chat, jump to the front of the line. But this is what I think was the most disappointing part of that Miami game, because to me, it would have checked off so many boxes for Aaron Glenn. It was a win in primetime. It would be a win over a team that you felt was inferior or going in the wrong direction. It was a chance in front of the nation to not be embarrassed or feel embarrassed. But instead, we come out of this game and it's the same things we keep seeing over and over again. Kick returners not being able to have field awareness or fumbling the football or turnovers. It's just maddening. And the big thing is this defense. Like, I was not expecting a top 5 defense, but when you bring in Aaron Glenn, you bring in Steve Wilkes, these guys that have 7 years of experience. And I have more questions about the defense than Tanner Engstrom in this offense after 4 games. That, to me, is very alarming. And unfortunately, Aaron Glenn's in a tough spot because only 2 coaches in the proud history of the Jets have somehow got 0-4. They are Lou Holtz, who quit before the end of the season and also tried to have the Jets do a fight song, and Adam Gase, who was 0-4.
That's tough company.
Not exactly a great start, but I mean, there's a lot to break down. What to you is the most alarming thing that you've been seeing, or the thing that's really sticking out to you after these first 4 games? That's truly the most alarming.
I think, honestly, it's that after 4 weeks, we really can't say this Jets team is really good at anything. And I know some people will argue and say, well, the running game. But that running game is not resulting in points. We're seeing us fumbling on the 1 yard line. That's a deliberate punch to the gut. And as part of the running game, you got to do the evaluation across the board. In 4 games now, I don't know what to tell you this team is about. It's the same constant mistakes. A lot of the stuff that AG told us in his press conferences when he was sitting down with individuals talking about, hey, I watched the tape last year, and a lot of this stuff is just on coaching. We can go ahead and fix some of this stuff very easily. It's just proper coaching can go ahead and get these guys in the right mindset, and you'll see us clean up a lot of that stuff. The penalties, we're going to clean that up. We're on track to lead the league in penalties again this year. Like, we're on track to be in that top tier of teams in terms of penalties. Nothing's changed. They're still making the same bonehead mistakes. The team seems unprepared. It feels like every week you open up and you're watching this game, and by the second quarter, you're like, what else did you guys practice except for the opening drive of this particular game? It seems to be the same thing over and over and over again. And we felt the same way under freaking Robert Saleh, felt the same way under Adam Gase, under freaking Todd Bowles. That's been the story. So whenever you're telling us, trust me, I've seen the tape. I know what's wrong with this team, and I know how to fix it. We'll get this cleaned up because we're coaches. We're football coaches. We're going to get this cleaned up. And you're showing us the same thing over and over again. Don't get mad at us because now we're holding you to that. Like, those words coming out of Adam Gase's mouth. I'm sorry, might as well be the same guy. Aaron Glenn's mouth. Man, look at that. AG. Ugh, gross. I just realized that. Aaron Glenn. Oh, that's gross. That's gross.
It is truly gross. And I think the biggest thing for me is it's the questions we had as a fan base, and we were told, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the DN depth, and it's been an issue. Don't worry about the safety depth. It's been an issue. And it's just simple coaching that doesn't make sense. Like, to me, one of the biggest, and I went off on my show after the Miami game. You can see me lose my mind, and I rarely do it on YouTube, but I did not understand for the life of me why Braylon Allen is returning kickoffs. When you're talking about the 5 most important offensive pieces on this team, Braylon Allen was up there. He's returning kicks. He gets hurt on the kickoff. Now today it's official. Out 8 to 12 weeks. It's basically the season. And now you've also screwed yourself. If there was a chance you were thinking about trading Breece Hall at the deadline, you can kiss that goodbye because you're not going to go the final 8 or 9 games with Isaiah Davis as your number 1 running back. I'm sorry. It's just like, you don't see high school coaches putting their best or most influential players back on kickoffs because of the injury risk. Like, it just shows such a lack of awareness.
I think you said it beautifully, right? In terms of the value that B. Allen brings to that offense and how you could risk him to injury the way you did. And then, of course, ironically, he gets injured and he's gone for the next 8 to 12 weeks. You start to wonder if the stage is too big for these guys. Like, it sounds ridiculous to say it. I know it's 4 games in, but like you just said, high school coaches wouldn't put one of their influential players back there to kick off returns. They understand there's an elevated risk to injury when you do that. How do our coaches not see that? How do our coaches not realize, hey, this is RB2 in a run-heavy offense. We need this guy healthy so we can have that healthy rotation. No, let's go ahead and make him do kickoff returns. And then, of course, the injury happens. Now you just lost him pretty much for the season. It's starting to feel as if this might be too big for these guys. Steve Wilks, specifically with the defense, I don't understand what's going on. At this point, I'm wondering if it's on purpose, because that's the only logical thought process you can have when you're watching this defense. And every snap, it seems somebody is just wide open. How is that continuously the case? I'm starting to wonder if Steve Wilks is a terrorist implemented into the organization that's trying to collapse it from within, because it doesn't make any other sense how this defense can be a top 5, top 10 unit over the last several years and now be they're trash. They're absolutely trash. The secondary is garbage. The defensive line is the only real bright spot. But again, like you said, there's no depth. It's concerning to me because at the very least, we would have assumed our defense would be respectable. The offense taking time to go ahead and get there, we were ready for that. But the defense, as Jets fans, we used to be able to say, hey, at least we got one of the better defenses in the league. Now we just sit here and we're just the Jets. I don't know what we do good. I don't know what to argue against when people are talking crap about us. I just got to take it because I don't know what we're good at, because this team has been bad from top to bottom.
Yeah, and I think that's the most frustrating thing is we've said Michael Clemens shouldn't be the backup DN. Oh, no worry, we'll be fine, and it's become an issue. And also the drafting, and I'll get to Danger Zone. He has a great question, but the drafting to me, especially day 3, has really come back to bite this team, especially because Tyler Barron, I've said it over and over again. If you're going to trade up on day 3, it better be for a guy you have a role for. They had Malachi Moore. Okay. They have a role for him. I can see him having a future with this team. Tyler Barron isn't good enough to get on the field. And we'll talk about a potential move that's being rumored with Adam Schefter. But Danger Zone brings up a really good question here. What do we have to do between now and the bye week in order for you guys not to be sellers at the deadline? I think there's I have two answers to this question. Number one, win games. They have to win at least 2 or 3 games. But here's the other problem I have. What are you selling at this trade deadline? Because exactly. I really don't see what is going to be the one piece I could maybe argue was Breece Hall because he's on the last year of a contract.
Right.
But that seems unlikely unless you're going to trade someone like Quinnen. The only other guy I can maybe see is Quincy, but he has to come back and be at least healthy. So,
right.
Yeah, like you can be sellers at the deadline. The problem is, what are you selling?
Yeah,
what do you have to sell?
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah, before this, I was with you. I think Breece Hall was the obvious answer. Brandon Allen being a young guy, we got him on that cheap contract. Getting him involved and getting him going was going to be my thought process if you wanted to trade Breece Hall. You can't do that now. You can't. As Breece Hall becomes an intricate part to this offense, he's literally your number 2, 3 option. Mm-hmm. Between Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, and of course Breece, you can't have a functioning offense without him because our running game is the strength. And you've got Garrett Wilson out there doing everything he can by himself. It's him against the world in essence. And you need to at least have that fear of the run game to make his job a little bit easier. At this point, we don't have the pieces. The Jets need pieces. We don't have the pieces to sell. So I'm going to go with I'm with you, man. I don't think there's anything for us to sell. Like, I'd like to see us win 1 or 2 more games before the bye. I don't think that's really feasible at this point. I think we might be able to sneak one between the Carolina game and maybe the Bengals game because they looked pretty freaking bad. But again, we've looked awful as well. So I'm not going to go ahead and put it out there. I think really realistically, I thought the Finns game was going to be a get right game for us. Looks like we were the get right game for the Dolphins. So I don't even know if begging for 2 wins right now in the next 4 is even something that's feasible. Maybe 1, but for me, I don't think we have it in the sell either. I'm with you on this one. I think at this point we're buyers. We need to start putting pieces on this roster that can at least going into next year. We've got some options because we got a lot of contracts coming off next year, and we don't have a lot of talent right now on this roster.
And we'll preview the Cowboys game in a little bit. Again, comment, super chat to jump to the front of the line. We'll answer your questions in the chat. What are your thoughts on the first quarter season, Mark? Who do you blame? What changes do you want to see on this roster? And look, I sum up the Jets like this. I think the offense has shown flashes. I think the offensive line has looked very good, and I'm very excited, especially with Armand Menbu. I think they're finally getting Mason Taylor involved. But to me, the one thing I have to see a big change is this defense because you have talent on this defense. The problem I'm seeing is there's just no creativity. And my problem is when I see guys like Connor Rogers or Jake Asman or other great Jets content creators coming up with ideas of how to fix the defense. Like one of my suggestions, why don't have Quinnen Williams play defensive end a couple snaps a game? I'm not saying 20 to 25, but 5 to 7 to take Michael Clemens off the field for a couple plays. Just some creativity to this defense. But it's like you said, Wilkes has just been absolutely horrendous. And unfortunately, for people that want Wilkes gone, I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to do that because the second he's gone, and if this defense still stinks, it's going to be like, oh, so it's not Wilkes, it's you as the play caller. So I think Wilkes is going to survive through the season. I know that's going to make everyone roll their eyes, but I feel like he's, like you said, going to be used as a scapegoat at the end of the season. But they have to show some progress. And the one position I was excited with Aaron Glenn was I thought we'd see a jump in the corner play, and it's been horrendous.
It's bad. The secondary to me, I thought to myself, man, those cornerbacks got a dog now to train them and teach them how it's done. Somebody who's done it right, seen a lot of success into it. I thought Sauce Gardner was going to take another step in his development. I was excited about this. The benefit of what our secondary, Michael Carter, who's been a stud at the slot corner position. We got a 2-time All-Pro in Sauce Gardner. You now have AG as your head coach. You guys are about to see another layer, another tier that y'all weren't prepared for. Nope. They've regressed. They've regressed. Sauce Gardner, I'm gonna just start calling him Ahmad Gardner now. I don't think Sauce is fitting until he starts showing us something on the field. He's Ahmad Gardner to me. Man, I don't know what happened to MC2, man. Like, he looks like he might have been the beneficiary of the scheme, a solid scheme, more so than his ability, because he looks like drastically lost across the board. It's been one of those things, man, where it just seems like everything we were expecting kind of gone out the window, right? In terms of what this team is supposed to look like, what the defense should look like, the benefits of the secondary. It's just been one thing after another. And at this point, man, more questions than answers. More questions than answers for us 4 games of this season.
Well, it looks like your dogs have more dog than the Jets defense right now. Though I can hear that
right now. There's somebody at the front door, so they're losing their minds. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. I just thought that was a great, very poetic and a fitting. But like, the other thing too is with this staff is there just doesn't feel like there's an identity. And I think what people were excited about was Aaron Glenn talking this whole offseason. We're going to have accountability. We're going to fight people. We're going to punch people, punch people in the mouth. And again, he's going around practice week with the big glove, punching footballs out again. I hope that works. But to me, I just feel like, especially when you come on this strong like Aaron Glenn, I think that's one of the reasons we liked him initially as a hire. Yeah. When you said you're going to have accountability and you cut Xavier Gipson, well, that's great. Well, what happens the next time and the third time and the fourth time and the fifth time? Like, why is Isaiah Williams, after fumbling in the third quarter, why is he out there screwing up again on a critical punt return? So to me, it's just such a mess, and I'm kind of curious to see how Brownlee's going to fit onto this defense. I think Brownlee is the type of corner they're looking for, but at this point too, I'm getting to the point I want to see the kids. Like, put Malachi Moore in at safety, let him play. I don't think Tyler Barron's going to do much. Kiko, again, got his feet wet in Miami. I thought that was a bad matchup for him, but get Mason Taylor involved. They finally remembered, oh, yeah, we drafted a tight end in the second round, and he got 5 catches last week. Yeah, he should be this team's number 2 receiver. So,
I'm with you, man. I think you nailed it on the head. At this point, we're 0-4. The odds of us making the playoffs or even sniffing it is like 0.0125%, and that's for normal teams. We're the Jets, so we're effectively eliminated. The season's over for us already before October even hit. So at this point, let's start seeing what some of these young guys have, because most of these guys you brought in, or the older dudes, aren't going to be here next year. So let's just see what the young guys have. We need to figure out what we're going to be doing next year's draft, because as of right now, it looks like we have a bunch of holes. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, hopefully, one of these young guys can go ahead and eliminate some of those concerns for us, and then we have more options, more depth when it comes to the draft time. So I'm with you, man. There's no point in playing this game out anymore. The season's effectively over in terms of any hopes of making the playoffs. Maybe we can go ahead and be the team that ruins a couple of hopes and dreams for other teams, but our hopes and dreams are already done. So now for us, we're already doing mock drafts, seeing which quarterback we're getting next year. It's gross that we're doing this before Halloween, before October even hit, but that's what I'm seeing now. And honestly, that's where we're at as Jets fans. We're back to mock draft season. So at least show us something exciting, man. Put some of those young guys out there. Let's see if we actually have some talent behind some of these guys who aren't going to be on the roster next year.
Yeah, Danger Zone brings up Stiggers. I'd like to see Stiggers get a run. I think he's really good at a gunner. We'll get to some of your questions, but I don't know. Did you see this from Bleacher Report today? My favorite story is there's this Panthers podcast that apparently started in 2019, and they decided they had too much with the losing. They're going to stop. I'm like, really? Okay.
You have no idea what suffering is.
They have no idea. And I think Ron brings up a good point. I think that's why this fan base is so depressed, because you want change, but again, I'm here in October. I'm going to be talking about quarterbacks. We're talking about trading pieces. We're talking about who's going to be the future quarterback of this team. It just feels like, again, the same movie, but with just a different, new creative script. And unfortunately, Aaron Glenn's going to have to show this fan base, they put a lot of faith in him, and I think, would have given him a lot of leeway, especially being a former player who's had success here. But if this team finishes 3-14 or 2-15 or 4-13, are you going to trust this regime to develop a new quarterback. And we've seen this movie before too, where you have the first-year quarterback, it doesn't work out with that coaching staff, then you bring in a new coaching staff for year 2. And I'll throw this out there. If the Ravens don't make the playoffs, which is a possibility with all their injuries, and John Harbaugh gets fired, if the Jets are not calling John Harbaugh or getting someone that has his head coaching credentials in here, then that is a big mistake.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing I put out on my podcast last week is the whole John Gruden situation, right? You're looking at the Miami Dolphins right now. They're most likely going to be going different route by the end of the season. They beat the Jets, but my gosh, it was one score. We gave them the ball 4 times, and they barely beat the Jets. Like they're not
100 more yards of offense than them.
100 more yards, exactly.
That stat blew my mind at the end of the game. Wasn't the penalties? I'm like, am I watching the right game? Because it felt like we couldn't get them off the field.
Off the field. Bro, I thought the same thing when I saw it in the back, and I was just like, so we had more passing yards, more rushing yards, we had more plays, we had the time of possession. It felt like this whole game I was watching the Miami Dolphins go up and down the field. But the numbers say otherwise, that we actually offensively played a better game, but doesn't matter because we gave them the ball 3 times and they were able to capitalize. So I think the Dolphins will be looking at coaching staff next year, which means John Gruden, who just, in case I didn't know, just won his case against the NFL earlier today. So he's going to be able to go ahead and pretty much see all of these so-called text messages and stuff that got him fired, et cetera, in the past. He'll be in the league, I'm pretty sure, by the end of by next season. Right. Imagine the Miami Dolphins bringing in John Gruden, and now they've got John Gruden as their coach. And we've got the Patriots, and the Vrabel looks like he's already started to get those guys figure some things out. And, of course, the freaking Bills are the Bills. They're going to be the AFC East Kings until Josh Allen retires at this point, the way it's looking like. Right. But that would mean we probably have the worst coaching staff in the league once John Gruden gets into the Miami Dolphins, which sets us back even further. So I'm already in that mindset of like, wow, we're going to have to probably look at, a Harbaugh if Harbaugh gets let go. I don't think you can bypass that being an option if depending, of course, on how the season ends. I'm telling you guys right now, if the season continues in this trajectory in regards to the way they've looked and they're losing games like this, I think Woody has a hard time not looking at the opportunity to improve in the coaching staff next year if a Harbaugh is available for him to bring into the building. I would at least hope that he's smart enough to make the phone call and see if there's any interest there. It just looks like in 4 games, it looks like the stage is just too big for this coaching staff. Right. Even though we were very excited about bringing those guys in, in the offseason.
Yeah, it goes back to the offseason. And as much as I like the Glenn hire, and again, it's a nice story, I was concerned because I kept saying I wanted a head coach. And my number one choice, to be honest, was Brian Flores for a couple of reasons. Number one, former head coach, great defenses, but more importantly, I want a coach that had an incentive, and he had 2 incentives. The Patriots kept overlooking him for jobs, and also the Miami Dolphins basically torpedoed his career. Like, that's one of the reasons I wanted Flores, because I'm like, he's going to come in with this, I'm going to stick it up there, and basically show what I can do. So he was my number one choice, and again, I know with everything with how the legal matters with the NFL, that kind of, I think, scared people off. Yeah. Again, I was of the opinion he was my number one option after Vrabel, basically, because I'm like, look, he's a former head coach and he's got incentive. But, and I know a lot of people are going with the Rex Ryan at this point. He might be our only option.
He'd at least be fun.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you brought in Rex, he'd be at least fun. We'd have fun watching games on Sundays.
You wouldn't be embarrassed. Like, in the thing. No. But before we move on to the Cowboys, I actually think Rex, this is a good point with Rex. And I think this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. And I think this is one of the big reasons for the struggles, especially on defense. Okay. When Rex came to the Jets, he brought Jim Leonard on the back end and he brought Bart Scott. Again, 2 talented players, but guys that understood the defense, understood what the coach was looking for. And Aaron Glenn didn't bring anyone from Detroit. And he had Zadarius Smith out there forever. And I was just screaming, just bring him in just to have an upgrade over Michael Clemens. But more importantly, someone that can relate to the guys, okay, this is what he means. This is where you're supposed to be in position. When he's saying that, you need
a tone setter.
Yeah, or someone that's on the field with you that's like, hey, like you position here, or you're slightly off. You got to get outside the number on this play. Like, it to me, it goes back to Darren Muji and this roster construction, which again, Aaron Glenn picked Darren Muji. Like, so again, it all comes back to Aaron Glenn. Like, not only the lack of position depth on this team, but just not bringing enough voices for this team to kind of get what this staff is looking for. And again, through 4 games, I think it's a big reason why they've started off 0-4.
I think you're 100% right. You nailed it on the head. I was also kind of curious as to why he didn't take a shot at him when he was available. You're bringing in a guy who's had solid production in the NFL over the last couple of years. Yeah, he's on the older side, but he's been a solid contributor, a guy who was a starter in your defense.
Yeah.
It just made all the sense in the world. And I thought it was going to be a sure thing, and it never happened. And then it made me start wondering, like, okay, maybe there's a relationship dynamic that we weren't aware of. But then you said the way you just said it, breaking down the Rex Ryan comparison, and it did help, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess you can say like nitro or speed up the process of getting the Rex Ryan defense going. So I don't understand like why that wasn't something that he felt or thought might be a benefit. But if I'm being honest with you, man, it's one of those things where you're seeing the impact of not thinking outside of the box, so to speak, in the offseason impacting this team now. And whether or not they're able to turn things around. And he just made the statement today in his presser about like, we had a really good week of practice. And I hate hearing that really good week of practice. It never ends well. Every time you've heard that during a presser, it's always resulted in something bad happening. That's just the nature of the game. Always. So for me, I'm not sure if this gets fixed this year. I'm really just hoping that we start seeing positive trajectory in regards to how this team operates, because otherwise, man, it's going to be a painfully long season.
Yeah, let's transition to a quick Cowboys preview. But the big thing also, I almost think Aaron Glenn needs to sit down with like a group of us and just take some notes and just say, for this fan base, there's certain things don't say we're not the same old Jets and then get embarrassed. And now we're having, it's a great week of practice. Like these Salah-isms, this fan base has been driven nuts by. Like I don't know if someone in the building, maybe PR, maybe someone on the social team could just talk to Glenn and be like, hey, just phrase it slightly differently. It'll go a lot farther. But we got Jets and Cowboys this weekend. Of course, the injury report came out today. Michael Carter is out for the game. Jermaine Johnson and Kenny Nwangu will be game time decisions according to Aaron Glenn. And it sounds like Jarvis Brownlee Jr. will make his Jets debut. And I guess on the injury front, the one thing that's concerning to me with Jermaine Johnson is now this is going to be the third game he misses. If he misses a third game, I wonder why the staff just didn't put him on the short-term IR just to open up a roster spot. And again, it's a new coaching staff. Maybe you could give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But my big thing for this game, if the Jets want to have any shot, I trust that this offense with Justin Fields is going to make some plays against this Cowboys defense. They're not any good. It's the defense. The defense is going to be the big thing that's going to the rest of the season, because I just saw the Packers, who have a pretty good defense and one of the most talented football players on the planet, give up a 40-burger to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, again, you get the benefit CeeDee Lamb's not playing, but then you still have a really good receiver you still have to cover. So I'm just concerned with this Jets defense because they're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have a takeaway this year, which it's almost hard to – it's amazing that they can't figure out, like, not even a ball can bounce their way. But this defense – to me, it all starts and ends with this defense, because it has been the Achilles heel for this team. And a lot of the problems with the offense is they're playing from behind all the time with this defense.
Yeah, I think in the words of Bart Scott, man, this defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And it's becoming apparent week in and week out. I think this is going to be a tough game. And by tough, I mean tough for us. I think this is going to be hard to watch as Jets fans. Living out here in Houston, Texas, man, there's a couple of Dallas Cowboys fans. A couple of my best friends are Dallas Cowboys fans. And I'm going to hate the material they're going to get after watching this game. Because honestly, man, I don't think it's going to be close. I'm dropping my video tomorrow for the preview video. But the more and more I look at this thing, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get cooked. It's gonna be bad. The
And it's gonna be 70% Cowboy fans too.
100%.
You
100%.
just know that.
I know it's gonna happen because Jets fans are upset. I've seen a lot of people just already throwing their freaking season tickets for sale on all kinds of sites right now. Like Jets fans are pissed off, and understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something that stated that the Cowboys have never beat the Jets at MetLife Stadium, and I was just like, well,
there's no, that's true, guys.
That's about to end. I don't see a scenario. I mean, the Cowboys have the number one offense in football right now. Did you know that? I didn't realize that until I was doing my research.
They they can move the football. And look, Dak Prescott, for all the grief he gets, every year consistently, he's gonna have one of the top
quarterback every single year. And he does get a lot of hate, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm gonna hate on him because he's a Cowboy, so I'm gonna give you hate. But I don't usually talk about Dak because Dak is actually a good football player. I just talk about the overall team as a unit. But yeah, Dak's gonna have a day. I'm telling you right now, if you're in fantasy football and you got Dak Prescott as your quarterback on the bench, you better put him in this week because I think he's going to eat. It's going to be a rough game, man. This defense hasn't shown us that they're able to go ahead and play defense. I know the mistakes should come in. It's just a matter of when. It's going to happen. They've shown us mistakes every single game so far this year. Why would it stop now? I think our offense will probably show up a little bit because the Cowboys defense is not good at all. Like losing Michael Parsons, their secondary is freaking banged up. Like they should be able to run the ball and put up some points, but we're going to get rolled over. It's not going to be a high scoring game where like both teams are going back and forth. I think overall the Cowboys are going to have a game, and it's going to be an embarrassing one for us as Jets fans.
Right. Like, I feel like the only way the Jets can win this is it turns into a bit of a shootout, and this defense can just get a couple of stops. And again, the Jets need to play the time of possession game. But the problem with that is I think they're getting too much relying on the running game. And now I think in a weird way, maybe the Braylon Allen injury helps in the way where they're like, okay, we can't just run it 12 plays in a row now. We have to do design runs. We have to get Arian Smith more involved. We have to get Mason Taylor more involved in this offense. Like maybe this will make the Jets push the football more. And look, Justin Fields, like I said it in the last show, like for me, there were times in that Dolphins game, even though his stat line came out great, it felt like they were afraid to let him just throw the football. And then when he did, he looked pretty good. I'm like, you've invested in him. You're 0-4. Let him wing it. If he throws an interception or two at this point, it just let him throw the football. And if you're afraid that because you don't have the talent around him, well, whose fault is that? You didn't put up talent around him.
100%. I noticed the same thing. I was watching that game and I thought to myself, there were times where it just seems like they were going to force the run. The 3rd and 6, where we're going to run the ball. Like we're on this side of the field, throw the ball. Like
with Isaiah Davis.
On top of that. Like, what are we doing? And then the second half comes out and it's like they said, you know what, forget it. We're down. What's the worst that could happen? And then they let him throw the ball. And he threw the ball pretty well. I don't understand this fear aspect of letting him throw the ball because y'all brought him in. Y'all told us in the pressure that people are talking about his ability to throw the ball, but he's doing wonderful stuff in training camp. He's showing how talented his arm can be. Can we see it in the game? Like, can we see it consistently in the game? So, yeah, I felt like that there was definitely that like he was being told, hey, if it's not there, run. don't go ahead and you don't throw it, run. Throw the ball, man. We're 0-4. 0-4, our season's already over. At the very least, you need to find out if this is a guy that you can build around moving forward, or if we're legitimately in the quarterback market come next year. Because if Justin Fields winds up having, a career year and he shows us like he can be a legitimate starter in the league, that top 3 pick that we're going to have, you can trade that for significantly more assets, and the rebuild gets done a lot faster. Or do we need to get the quarterback? Like, there's just, again, I feel like
either way, though, I think he'd still be a nice bridge. Even if he doesn't have a great year, he's still a very 100%. Good bridge. So the big thing, too, is you got to see what you have. And I agree with you. And you're not going to do that if you're just running the ball 12 plays in a row. And
we already know Breece Hall is good. We know Brandon Allen's going to be a good running back in the NFL. We already know that part. And Breece Hall might not be on the team next year. So let's go ahead and see if Arian Smith can be good. I don't know if Josh Reynolds, and I know Allen Lazard is pretty much done, but can Josh Reynolds be a complimentary wide receiver 3? But let's get the ball to these guys. I just feel like you need to know what you really have, because right now it looks like we need a complete rebuild, and that hurts my soul to even say out loud.
Right. I mean, I mean, Drones is letting us know who he wants to draft.
Miami and bring back this for next year. Ruben Bain. I've been looking at what do you call it? They're calling him the Cuban Missile Rocket or the Mendoza out of is it Wisconsin? I think he's Wisconsin. All right.
Yeah.
One or two.
It is funny though, because again, we're back to talking about quarterbacks again. But look, it's also frustrating too, because you look forward to now you feel terrible about the London game because the Broncos, it just feels like they're going to be prepared. It's frustrating because I feel like we're going to get to a point this season. I think we're kind of there. Like, and this is amazing, especially the last 15 years. Watch this team. We have an offense that can win games, even with the lack of pieces.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have a defense now, which is the most frustrating, I guess, aspect.
Ironic.
To all this.
It's so ironic.
Yeah, it's ironic, but the hard part too is, the guys they paid on this defense are performing. Stevens had a better game against Miami, but still they gave him way too much money.
Yeah.
Sauce has struggled. They paid him the highest paid corner. You can't be complaining after the game that the refs are officiating you differently. They know you're the highest paid corner. They're going to keep an eye on you.
They're looking at you, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael Carter, and then even in the draft, they used a third-round pick on A.Z. Thomas, and I like the projection for A.Z., but, you're looking around this team going, well, could they have used that third-rounder on a receiver that would have started day one, or maybe another safety that we could have thrown out there, or another pass rusher in the pass rush rotation? It's just so freaking frustrating because it's one thing because we're fans, and again, we watch these games, we understand these teams, but when we're coming up with ideas and we notice problems with the team and the team doesn't seem to notice the problems,
that's a problem.
It's concerning. And with this Cowboys game too, you have to be aggressive, especially because let's face it, if you are facing this Cowboy team, they only have to go 20 yards basically to get in a field goal range with their kicker. I mean,
pretty much.
Actually, that should be a good bet for this weekend. I bet that the Cowboys are going to set the career-long field goal in MetLife. They're going to boot like a 65-yarder.
I could definitely see that happening. I
think there's something with the kicking balls because Nick Folk, who can barely walk,
right?
I'm walking him shuffle on with a helmet that's
got
like
a little
2 times
60-yarder.
I'm like, oh God, this is going to be like 10 yards short. He drills it. I'm like, that to me was like the most shocking thing in Miami. I
was like, wait, is there like leg steroids you don't know about? Because that's not a Nick Folk type of kick, not at this stage of his career.
I don't know. Wherever he drank the night out before in the 305, do it again. Just do it again. So, but yeah, Jets Cowboys will be here live after that game. Again, that'll also be my birthday. So, Jets, can you give me at least a decent birthday present?
You're an October baby also?
I am.
Mine is a week later. I'm on the 18th.
Nice. We got some birthdays coming up here. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. You can always check us out wherever podcasts are available. Go check out Gunny Gumby. His links are in the description below. Again, great content. He has his Jets Cowboys preview, which again, spoiler alert, doesn't sound like it's going to end too well for both teams. But again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with the live stream after Jets Cowboys this Sunday and what promises to be at least an entertaining game. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time on Rich Sports Talk.